disruptive.
America that I fought for.
Weird thing to happen. So Newsweek put out a little interesting hit piece, a falsified story that they cultivated together to go after Tucker Carlson, one of their big competitors. And they suggested that Tucker Carlson was launching a new show on Russia State TV, which you know is absolutely false. It's a fabricated story, again, as a smear campaign to go against one of their rivals. And Newsweek kept this story going, but people were pointing this out. There were some people that were siding along with this because they have been glued to the Russiagate hoax for so long that they're just diluted to anything that is very much anti-Russian, even if it makes no sense. Take this guy, for instance, this guy, Michael Steele, who is the former head of the Republican Party. This is the former RNC chair. He stated that Russia, this is, without question, our number one geopolitical foe. They fight every cause for the world's worst actors. And he's quoting Mitt Romney on this. Tuckins finally gets to go home. I guess that's a nickname they gave him. What a pathetic mouthpiece for Putin. As opposed to being a mouthpiece for state-sponsored media like Newsweek. Because that's what they are. They're doing this on the behest of the rest of the establishment to pose Tucker Carlson, a journalist, as some sort of enemy to the state. Someone who actually does a decent job of holding people accountable, which is what Tucker Carlson does. Here's the Kiev Independent, which no doubt they're going to, sideline with this. They said U.S. far-right political commentator and conspiracy theorist Tucker Carlson launched a new television show in collaboration with Russian state television network Rossiya 24, with the first episode being available online on May 21st. That, of course, is fabricated. Of course, that was a made-up story in complex with Newsweek and the intelligence agencies to, again, advance warfare. To advance the warfare of information, advance warfare to tell you who's a journalist and who isn't. And considering the fact that Tucker Carlson's been a vocal voice against the Ukraine war and been a vocal voice for a lot against war because he's been more open to understanding why these wars exist. Here's this one. This is Republicans against Trump, which you might as well just call it the donor class Twitter account. That's what that is. Republicans against Trump. That is the aristocratic Republican donor class that does not want to serve anybody except themselves. And they said, breaking. Tucker Carlson has launched his own show on Russian state television channel. Russian state-sponsored newspaper reported. Tucker Carlson is a Russian asset. And they don't ever elaborate on what they mean by that. They just assume that he's a Putin puppet or a Russian asset because, God forbid, a journalist goes over to interview a foreign leader. God forbid we actually have people that have the dignity and respect to actually credit themselves of being a journalist to go over there and investigate for themselves. God forbid. So, Glenn Greenwald chimes in on this. Glenn Greenwald being an actual journalist. He'd stated that this is a bogus statement. This original Newsweek headline predictably went viral, claiming Tucker Carlson has launched a new program on Russia State TV. The edited article now makes clear the whole story is bullshit. False. But it was a irresistible McCarthyite smear. So, they had to edit the article because people were calling this out. They knew that this was completely fabricated. And after this got released and people were calling this out, they made this little correction. And they made this at the bottom of the screen, the little tiny fine print that no one could see. And newspapers and corporate media stenographers purposely do that. It's called the art of deception. So when you release a story to the public, they want that story to stick to people. But then when they get called out and they get caught red-handed, they have to provide context. They have to provide a correction. So when they provide the correction, they give in tiny little letters at the bottom of the screen here. As you can see, this is from May 21st of this year. This article was updated to make clear there is no evidence the Tucker Carlson network has done a deal with Russian state TV. But no one's going to see it. No one's going to be able to see it because it's so tiny on the bottom of the screen that no one is going to be able to access it. That is how they're deceiving you. And when people are getting, and when they continue to call out Newsweek for not correcting the record and falsifying a story, they'll claim that, hey, well, we did correct the record. We did provide the actual context. You just didn't see it properly. And this is how they're able to get away with certain stories. It's just like how the New York Times, they tell you a small smidge of truth, but that small smidge of truth is on page 87 underneath the crosswords if you hold it backwards. This is how they're able to deceive people through the media. So Glenn Greenwald chimes back saying, amazing this tweet and headline are still up, given the entire rewritten article, as well as the corrections appended at the end, make clear that it is false. It should be retracted. Russian obsessions are more unhinged now than they were in the 1950s. So it's amazing that publications like Newsweek and the New York Times and the Washington Post or NBC News or ABC News or Fox News or any of these outlets can do up these stories on the regular, able to publish, produce, and give it out to the people, know that's false, know that's fake, and are still up to this day. They still have that story that we pointed out on the channel here about the lineup at an Oklahoma hospital of gun victims. They falsified that story to, again, smear people. And we called it out. Everybody else called it out. But they still have that story up. They haven't retracted that story. I think that was through the Rolling Stone, too. So they're just going to continue to get away with this. And because now they have that tiny little inscription of correcting the record to say that there was no evidence, they could still publish this. They could still legally publish this and still say, well, we're allowed to. We gave you a correction. You just didn't see it. And this is how they deceive people and manipulate people on their judgment. And that's why you saw so many tweets beforehand stating that they believed it. They believed in why it's so important to read beyond the headlines and understand how the media works, how important it is to understand where your stories come from. That's what we do here on this channel. That's why I took a media literacy course in high school and got kind of more interested into politics and media and whatnot. And I encourage people, if you have the opportunity to do so, please take those courses because you won't regret it. They're actually very useful, very insightful, and you can use that measure. You can use those points of measure to point out news articles throughout your daily life. To understand where stuff is coming from, where stories are cultivated, who is doing what. And just how insane that is that they wrote this story. Well, here's the article itself. Let's see what Newsweek put together on this. So it says the CEO of Tucker Carlson Network has rejected claims in Russian state media that the former Fox News anchor had made a deal for his shows to appear on Russian television. The claims to appear have originated from the program Tucker, which is broadcast on Russian 24, but comprises old episodes of Carlson's show taken from X, formerly Twitter, and YouTube, complete with Russian voiceover. So their claim, Newsweek's claim, is that because Tucker Carlson posted on social media, which is a global platform, and then Russian media took clips of it and showed it on their broadcast network, that somehow Tucker Carlson is related to Russian state media. Like, the absurdity of these people and the mental gymnastics they have to go through to try to prove this. It's like when Rachel Maddow comes up with the crazy Russiagate theories. She already has the entail. She already has the climactic event, but now she has to go through the hurdles to link how it's related. She doesn't have all the pinpoints together. The first episode and other clips from previous months are now available online. Russian state newspaper Rossiyaka Gazette reported. On the website smotrim.ru, where programs are shown on Russian state channels can be viewed, is an episode introduced by Carlson dated May 18th and dubbed into Russian. The website also hosts other clips from previous months of interviews that Carlson has conducted. Independent news outlet Astra confirmed that the program features Russian language dubbing of Carlson's American news shows and is not original content for Russian viewers. In September 2023, Russia aired a trailer for a show featuring Carlson without clarifying it would be broadcast, the BBC report. Carlson told the Financial Times that he knew nothing about it. Neil Patel, CEO of the Tucker Carlson network, denied claims the Gazette and Astra that the airing of the episodes was part of a joint project. But you just stated that even the broadcaster never alerted anybody. They just took those episodes, which were on social media, and just aired it on its channel. They didn't notify Carlson. They didn't notify YouTube. They didn't notify any of the publications. None of it. They just took it and showed random clips, which is what news organizations already do. They take clips from social media. They don't acknowledge the people that posted it. They just take clips out at whim and just report on it. How many corporate media stenographers here would do the same thing? The Tucker Carlson network has not done any deals with state media in any country. Whoever is currently pretending to be the old Newsweek brand would know that if they had checked with us before printing like news companies are supposed to do, he wrote on X, formerly Twitter. Dean Thompson, head of programming production operations at the Tucker Carlson network, later told Newsweek in a statement, the story of a Russian show is totally false. Any use of our content by the channel is without legal permission. Newsweek has also contracted VGTRK and smotrim.ru for comment and will update this article if a response is received. But again, they're not going to retract this article. They're not going to retract the statements. They're going to vilify people into believing this to, again, go after the competitor. Because that is how they're trying to deceive people into attacking their competition without them even knowing why they're attacking Tucker Carlson. Because they don't have any evidence. They have nothing to back their arguments. They just want to pinpoint the fact that Tucker Carlson and his clips appeared on Russian TV. So clearly, he's state-sponsored television. But no way to connect that. No way to connect that. But of course, if anyone like me or any podcaster, any YouTuber, any TikToker that you're watching makes a mistake or has to correct the record, we get vilified. We get shut off from the public sphere. We get immediately dismanned from the airwaves. But publications like Newsweek are able to make up fictitious articles and sell it to you and still continue to put it onto their publications even after they've been caught, because it goes with the corporate narrative, and that's all they care about. They don't care about actual facts. They don't care about journalistic integrity. They don't care about revealing information or getting information to the people. They just want to repeat the propaganda, the narratives that they're being told to repeat to their audience. That's all it is. And their narrative right now is to vilify Tucker Carlson, because Tucker Carlson is a journalist who's actually willing to step outside the lines and bring us important information, which is what a journalist is supposed to do. That's why he's getting vilified as a Russian asset. Julian Assange is held in Belmarsh prison being tortured, and other people have either had their lives at risk or seeking prison sentences for revealing the truth and silencing out from the rest of the public sphere. Just absolutely crazy. Well, they're saying that they're protecting journalists. This is brought to you by Ground News, the versatile news app and website that gathers all the world's media on one place and allows users to compare coverage. Ground News gives you the access of thousands of sources worldwide, allows you to see the media blind spots, and even gives analysis on the bias and factuality of those stories. Weave your way through the mainstream narratives, the corporate lies, and have total access to find complete information that you deserve. Click on the link below and get 15% off a subscription. Be critical, be informed, be ground.